Chapter 3. Joe. This was probably a stupid idea. Then again, the best ones usually were. Besides, the feds weren't exactly being discreet, showing up in a boat outside our very private, very isolated island. Their desperation for information was showing. I mean, they aren't even trying. Not bothering to set up fishing poles off the back, that's just lazy. Joe thought as she gripped the handles of the jet ski tighter and her eyes slipped down to the bag dangling beneath one palm. And I really do want an unbiased opinion of the Gabay. A wicked grin spread across her lips as she shifted her gaze, zeroing in on the small boat rapidly growing larger and the two blurry figures scrambling on board. This was going to be fun. "Hi, boys!" she called out when she got close, trying unsuccessfully to keep a teasing tone from her voice. Joe whipped the jet ski around and cut the engine, sending a splash over the edge of the boat as she came to a stop parallel to their port side. "You lost?"
"Morning,"
the man in the back drawled, leaning against the control panel, chest hair visible through the gape of his shirt as he offered her a devilish smile of his own. Dark hair, golden eyes, bronze skin. A little short, but strong and clearly confident enough to pull it off. Yet Joe found her gaze slipping to the man in front, sitting stiff as a board by a small table with his white shirt buttoned all the way up to the collar. He had those classic good looks that never went out of style. Sandy brown hair, bright baby blues, an all-American type with a strong jaw and, Joe couldn't help but notice, a rather impressive set of biceps. Since he sat with his arms crossed, eyeing her warily, not attempting to be friendly. Little did he realize his taut lips and standoffish expression only served to present a challenge Joe couldn't keep herself from accepting. "Could you hold this?" she asked, overly sweet, before tossing the bag of Gabays right at his face, forcing him to unfold those arms or be smacked in the forehead. He smoothly lifted one hand and caught the bag with hardly any effort at all. Nice reflexes, she admired silently. The edges of her lips twitched with amusement as he gently placed the bag on the table and glared a brooding sort of scowl in her direction. Before either man had time to react, she hopped over the side of the boat with her jet ski tie in hand and fastened a quick knot. Leaning against the ledge, she folded her arms in just the right place to perk her medium-sized breasts into optimal position. Two sets of eyes dropped, then rose, then slipped down for another instant, and finally returned to an alert, straightforward position. The red bikini was a good choice, she noted, watching Mr. Stiff clench his jaw and take a noticeably tight swallow. Her gaze dropped to the table in front of him, cataloging what she saw: binoculars, notepad, cell phone, map. Then darted around the rest of the boat. Another phone, a two-way radio, more papers. A stack of manila envelopes secured with two thick rubber bands, cameras, and two holsters with handguns piled in the corner. Joe pulled her focus back onto those baby blues. "Two lost fishermen with no fishing poles?" He shrugged.
"Lunch break."
"I see," she murmured, drawing that last syllable out as though it were its own sentence. The silence stretched while all three of them took note of the clear lack of food, aside from Gabays, anywhere on the boat. Both men shifted uncomfortably. "Is oxygen the new fad diet? I must be getting a little out of touch on this isolated island." Neither answered. Joe couldn't stop a light giggle from slipping out as she pushed off the side of the boat and stepped toward the table, snatching her bag of Gabays. "Well, boys, maybe we can help each other out. You look hungry, and I have a bit of a conundrum. You see, I've just created what I'm sure will be the biggest thing in baking since the mini cupcake. I'm calling it the Gabay for now. But I've got no one to taste test. At the moment, I'm all by my lonesome in that big old house, as I'm sure you're well aware. And since I know we're both waiting on the arrival of the same person, I figured you might have a few minutes to spare to help me out." They kept watching her, unsure. Mr. Stiff drew his brows together, creating a deep and somehow intriguing groove down the center of his forehead, keeping his lips in a smooth line. His friend looked at her, face going a little green as Joe opened the Ziploc bag, pulled a kupai out, and dropped the rest back on the table. Before she could open her mouth, he turned and fled down the stairs, the smack of a closing door the only sound in his wake. Not the reaction I was hoping for. "Guess it's just us," Joe said, and turned back to the grump with what she hoped was an irresistibly charming smile, offering him a kupai. He didn't move. His gaze flicked back and forth between the kupai and her face, as though trying to decipher some hidden agenda. To be fair, she couldn't blame him. Joe was almost always working some sort of angle. But this one time, no matter how much her words seemed to dance and dart around the unspoken, she really did just want an honest opinion about something she cared more about than almost anything else in the world: her food. Her smile drooped for an instant. She stretched her hand a little closer. "I don't bite," Joe commented. His lips softened. His muscles relaxed. He almost reached out to accept the kupai, until she couldn't stop herself from adding, "Unless you're into that sort of thing, of course." She wriggled her brows and flashed her teeth. A pink flush rose on Mr. Stiff's cheeks as he jumped to his feet. Tall, check. Broad, check. He stepped past her, reaching down to deftly untie her jet ski from the boat. Joe let her gaze drop for a moment. Very grabbable ass, check. As though he could hear her thoughts, he jerked upright and turned, holding the black rope in his more than capable hands and offering it to her.
Have a nice day, Miss Carter.
Joe cocked her hip to the side, staring up at him for a moment before reaching her palm forward. She let her fingers linger on his warm, tanned skin as she took the rope from his hands, loving the way her stomach clenched, how a little flurry of sparks exploded in her chest. Mr. Stiff. Hopefully in more ways than one. He pulled his hand back, but she clenched her fingers and held on, forcing him to meet her eyes. "You can call me Joe,"